I know that there are things you hope for in Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves, and you know what? There are things I hope for in Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, welcome back to the channel, and here are 5 things that I hope happen in the new Gen 10 games. Let's get into it. Since I have recently made a video about mistakes in Scarlet and Violet that I don't want to happen in Winds and Waves, I will avoid the things I talked about there because those are hopes as well. And so let's start with a very simple yet very important one: fishing. Fishing was a staple in Pokemon since forever, and only Let's Go had kept it off the game, which made sense since the game had a completely different approach to the encounters. When it came back in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, I felt relieved that they weren't done with the mechanic. When Legends Arceus didn't have it, I was a bit worried, but that was also an unusual game, so I was hoping that it was not going to be an issue going forward. But it was. Scarlet and Violet was the first classic series Pokemon game that did not have fishing, and I hope that this feature makes a return in Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves, since there's going to be a lot of water in that region. Fishing is an extra way to find Pokemon, and it is one that still keeps that magic of a Pokemon encounter being mysterious. And that is why my second hope kinda leans a little bit on the first one, and that's the return of random encounters. But not completely. Pokemon in the overworld is something magical that I don't think they should get rid of. It's the kind of thing we dreamed of as kids playing every game up until Let's Go. But as kids, we don't think of consequences. We don't think of what we lose in order to gain something. I think there should be more ways to get hidden encounters. Pokemon that we are surprised by. For example, the shaking trees in Legends Arceus are exactly this, but I'd love to see more versions of this being applied. A shaking bush, a hole in the ground kinda like in ZA, but actually hiding the Pokemon. Pokemon falling from the ceilings of caves, rising from a shadow under the water, within walls or rocks we have to break through. Anything. It's something that I think Sword and Shield did very well, because even if the wild area was filled with Pokemon all around you, there were still hidden encounters that would make catching Pokemon or shiny hunting a lot more rewarding. Next is a very common one: I hope we get voice acting. I won't spend much time on this topic because it is the kind of topic that has been talked about to oblivion already. I want voice acting in Pokemon. It's time. Not for everything, not for everyone, but big cutscenes need to have voice acting. They feel awkward without it. Anything else should just have a sound effect, like a or a ho, something like that. Something like what you see in most JRPGs. Would it be weird and awkward? Yes, it absolutely would. Do I care? No, I do not. It's time for it to happen. Next, I hope we can visit another region, old or new. The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC did something that hadn't happened in a long time. It took us out of the game's region and to one that was new and another that was old. While we likely did not see all there was to see around Kitakami, it was a nice way to be introduced to something new, and while we didn't see all of Unova, we learned about some things going on there and had a nice bucket full of nostalgia dropped on us as we explored the terrarium. I think the tropical setting of Winds and Waves pushes me to say that a Alola or Hoenn would be a fantastic revisit for the DLC, and if we do visit a new region, I hope it's something that, just like Kitakami, isn't at all related to Gen 11 or the next Legends game. Just a big surprise that leaves us speculating. I'm a sucker for those revisits, and maybe that's the reason why I love Johto so much, but Pokemon is just so good at nostalgia, and seeing them put it to use, it's always just fantastic. Now for my final hope, I hope that Winds and Waves has a great multiplayer feature even if it only comes out in the DLC. Pokemon is always online now. Sure, you can do the whole game offline, there's no issue with that, but it's undeniable that some things are developed with playing with other people in mind. Max raids or terror raids, people roaming the wild area and the Union Circle. All of them were developed to make people feel like Pokemon is not the lonely activity it once was, but quite the opposite. Now what I want is something like what we had in the Crown Tundra with the Dynamax adventures. With returning legendaries or not, but with some kind of reward that keeps me going back to the game for years and years after the game is out. To this day, there are people telling me to play Dynamax Adventures on stream, and there are people out there doing it every day because the rewards are just that good and they're a great way to interact with others. They're actually how I came back to the online Pokemon community after so long of being out. And now that I think about it, if it wasn't for them, I would probably not have a channel. So something like that is what I hope happens in Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves. But what about you? What are your 5 hopes for Gen 10? Let me know down below. And now, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. But before I go, I want to thank my YouTube members Dash Plays and Good Old Deo, as well as my Twitch subscribers Anubis Here, the Dr. Joe, and Teixeira23 for going that extra mile. Thank you so much for all of your support.